The moment I died, there was no tunnel, no instant light, no peaceful drifting into nothingness like I had always heard. There was something else, something far more immediate, far more intense, and far more real than anything I was prepared for. 1 second, I was gasping for breath, my chest tightening, the world closing in around me. The next, everything stopped. Not slowly, not gently, completely. And yet, I was still there, still thinking, still aware. But what I experienced in those first moments after death shattered everything I thought I knew about what comes next, because it wasn't what we were told, not even close. My name is Jonathan, and before that day, I never gave much thought to death beyond the occasional passing worry. I believed in an afterlife in a distant, almost abstract way, but I never questioned the details. I assumed it would be peaceful, predictable, something already explained by tradition or belief. I lived my life focused on the present, work, family, responsibilities, telling myself there would be always time to think deeper about things later. I didn't know that later was closer than I imagined. This story is based on a real testimony, but identities have been protected using AI. It happened without warning, a sudden collapse, a violent pressure in my chest, the kind of pain that doesn't give you time to process what's happening. I remember falling, the sound of something hitting the floor, voices rising around me in panic, and then silence. But the silence didn't mean the end. It was the beginning of something I could never have imagined. At first, there was darkness, but not emptiness. It felt dense, almost alive, like it was surrounding me with awareness. I tried to move, to breathe, to do something, but there was no body to control, and yet I was completely conscious. Then came the realization that sent a shock through whatever I had become. I was still thinking. My thoughts were clear, sharper than they had ever been. There was no confusion, no fading. If anything, I felt more awake than I had ever felt in my entire life. And that's when I understood I was dead. Panic surged through me, sudden and overwhelming. If I was dead, then where was I? Why was I still aware? Why hadn't anything else happened yet? And then something did. I became aware of movement, not mine, but something around me. The darkness began to shift, not disappearing, but opening, like a veil being pulled back. And in that moment, I realized something that no one had ever told me. There is no delay after death. There is no waiting, no pause, no moment where nothing happens. The transition is immediate. Instant. You don't drift into the next reality, you arrive in it. And I had arrived somewhere I didn't understand. The space around me expanded, revealing something vast and impossible to fully describe. It wasn't a place in the way we think of places. It didn't have walls or a sky or ground beneath my feet, but it had structure, presence, intention. And I wasn't alone. I felt it before I saw anything, a presence, or maybe many presences, observing, aware, not threatening, but not distant either. It was as if I had stepped into a reality where everything could see me for exactly what I was. Then came the moment that changed everything. I was confronted with myself. Not in the form of a reflection or an image, but as a complete awareness of who I had been in life. Every thought, every action, every intention, nothing was hidden. And unlike memory, which can soften or distort things, this was absolute clarity. There were no excuses, no justifications, just truth. And the most shocking part was how immediate it was. There was no judgment spoken, no voice declaring anything. Instead, I felt it internally. I understood the weight of my choices, not just from my perspective, but from the impact they had on others. Moments I had forgotten completely were suddenly undeniable. A careless word that hurt someone deeply, a missed opportunity to help when I could have, times I chose convenience over compassion. They all carried weight, far more than I had ever realized. But it wasn't all negative. I also felt the moments where I had shown kindness, where I had acted with sincerity, where I had chosen love over selfishness. And those moments carried weight too, just as real, just as powerful. And that's when I understood something that no one had ever explained to me. What happens immediately after death is not about being judged by something external. It's about being revealed to yourself completely. There is no hiding, no pretending. You experience the truth of who you are in its entirety, and it happens instantly. Then something shifted again. The space around me began to change, and I felt myself being drawn towards something, not forced, but guided. And as I moved, the awareness around me grew stronger, more intense. And then I saw it, a light, but not like the ones I had imagined or heard about. This light wasn't just bright, it was alive. It carried a presence so powerful that the moment I became aware of it, everything within me reacted. There was awe, there was fear, but above all, there was recognition. It felt like truth itself. As I moved closer, the clarity within me deepened. I understood more, not through words, but through direct knowing. And what I realized is what changed everything for me. Life is not just about what we do, it's about what we become. Every choice, every intention, every thought, it shapes something within us, something that doesn't disappear when the body does. And in that place, that is what remains. Not your possessions, not your achievements, not your status, only who you are. Then came the message, not spoken, but undeniable. This is what continues. And I understood. What we build inside ourselves in this life is what we carry into whatever comes next. There is no separation, no reset, no escape from it. That realization hit me harder than anything else I had experienced, because it meant that the way we live now matters more than we can possibly understand. But I wasn't allowed to stay. Just as I began to fully grasp what I was being shown, everything started to pull away. The light, the awareness, the clarity, it all began to fade as a force pulled me back with incredible speed. Then came the impact. Air rushed into my lungs as I gasped violently, my body jerking as life slammed back into it. I was back, alive, but everything was different. The first thing I said, I didn't think about it. It just came out. It's immediate. There's no waiting. They didn't understand what I meant. How could they? I wouldn't have understood either before that day. But now I know. What happens after death is not distant or delayed. It is immediate, real, and deeply personal. It's a confrontation with truth, your truth, in a way that cannot be avoided. Since that moment, I've lived my life differently. The small things matter more. The way I treat people matter more. The intentions behind my actions matter more. Because I know that nothing is lost, nothing is forgotten, and nothing is without consequence. So I ask you this. If you knew that the moment your life ends, you would immediately face the full truth of who you are, without filters, without excuses, would you live differently? Would you speak differently, act differently, choose differently? Don't wait to find out the hard way. If this story made you stop and think, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment and tell me what you believe happens after death. I want to hear your perspective. And if you want more stories like this, stories that challenge what we think we know and push us to look deeper, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Because in the end, the question isn't just what happens after we die. The real question is, who will you be when it does?